Good morning. Merry Christmas here on this Christmas day of 2020, a year that many of us will enjoy seeing in the rear view. But I tell you, I know a lot of churches don't have a service on Christmas Day. And ordinarily, we here at the Second Church, when we do, sometimes we'll have 15, sometimes we'll have 30 or 40, depending on, I think, the nature of visitors in the area. This is the service that I always recommend to people. I say, the kids can come in their jammies, you could too. If there's any fruit cake that you don't want to eat, bring it on and we'll share it. Just a very casual way of celebrating Christmas. And of course we can't do that this year. And it grieves me. But what I wanted to do was just to offer something that I do most every year, and it's from the Radio City Music Hall, their Christmas Spectacular. It's something called One Solitary Life. Now, there have been sermons to this effect and all sorts of things, but there at the Radio City Music Hall, year after year, on the grand stage with the living nativity, all of these things, it's reduced to the life of Jesus, and this is how it reads. He was born in an obscure village, the child of a peasant woman. He grew up in another obscure village, where he worked in a carpenter shop until he was 30. Then for 3 years, he was an itinerant preacher. He never had a family or owned a home. He never set foot in a big city. He never traveled 200 miles from the place that he was born. He never wrote a book or held an office. He did none of the things that usually accompany greatness. And while he was still a young man, the tide of popular opinion turned against him. His friends deserted him. He was turned over to his enemies and went through the mockery of a trial. And he was nailed to a cross between two thieves. While he was dying, his executioners gambled for the only piece of property he had, his coat. And when he was dead, he was taken down and laid in a borrowed grave. And now, 20 centuries have come and gone, and today he is the central figure of much of the human race. Today he is the central figure of much of the human race. All the armies that ever marched, all the navies that ever sailed, all the parliaments that ever sat, all the kings that ever reigned, put together, have not affected the life of a man upon this earth as powerfully as this one solitary life. Christ comes that we may begin again. We can start anew, purge the toxins, cast away the attitudes and behaviors that separate us from our neighbors, from our best selves, and from our God. We celebrate innocence returning into our lives. Advent often is not just the celebration of a birth 2,000 years ago, but an anticipation of Jesus coming again. And I maintain this, that every time we open our hearts, every time we treat someone kindly, every time we do those things that the narrative of the Bible has told us to do and that Jesus reinforced, Christ comes again. So here's to 2021. Here's to our life together in service to the God we love and who loves us with an unfathomable love. Merry Christmas.